as the European scientists insist? Michio Kaku, professor of theoretical physics at the City University of New York, is suspicious of his fellow scientists.
The dead don't give us information on these tapes that can be used to prove their validity. Either this is really communications from the beyond, from the dead, or perhaps it's nothing but a videotape that's being placed inside a television camera.
Professor Kaku suggests popular notions about ghostly contact inspired by our entertainment industry should not be taken so literally, but rather should encourage us to duplicate such claims in controlled tests.
Some people believe that perhaps the ghosts can communicate to us via our television sets. And if you saw the movie Poltergeist, that's exactly what happens when the little girl says, "They're here." Well, I would be more convinced if you get a television set that has no power, that has no visible signs of a VCR, no antenna, then you could say that the television set is lighting up all by itself and is communicating with the dead.
But attempts to document definitive spirit phenomenon on film at respected scientific institutions have a long history. For example, in the 1970s, investigators from a research society named Seurat insisted their experiments revealed real ghosts at work. The ghosts are said to be making this pen write by itself. This matchbook move by itself, and this chain miraculously interlink. What are we to make of all this perplexing, seldom-seen Seurat footage?
Just because phenomena looks goofy or sensational doesn't mean that it's not real. All I can make of it is that it's just as likely, it's probably more likely that it's not real than it is that it is real because of how goofy it is. But I know from experience that some ghosts have a good sense of humor.
There's nothing humorous about this ominous image recorded at a Moore Park, California residence in September 1989. This mysterious black apparition was captured by videographer Daniel Hobbit.
You can't explain it, but you just know it's real.
Hobbit has spent many years trying to capture compelling evidence that ghosts are real. He shot this eerie video in the home of a very frightened couple, convinced they were living with a disturbed spirit or entity.
They were experiencing strange occurrences in their house. In particular, this one guest bedroom upstairs. Doors closing and pictures being thrown off the wall, and crying and voices coming from this particular room upstairs.
Despite the family's refusal to ever enter the room again, Hobbit braced himself and went in alone with his video camera. Once inside, Hobbit said he felt that some force was directing him to an antique picture on the wall. The picture was a present from the husband's dead mother.
I was not alone. A black, transparent, shadowy mass of some sorts, of someone or something standing by the bed. I remember the look on the husband's face. He stands up and he's pointing at the television, shaking his head, going, "My God," he says, "that's exactly what I saw."
Hobbit even caught the apparition reflected in a mirror. This shot persuades many top researchers that we are witnessing a real ghost on tape.
There was a scene where Mr. Hobbit panned the camera to the right and caught a reflection of the image in the mirror in the room. If it's an artifact, it's not going to be reflecting in the mirror in the same angle as it would be as if it was actually there. So that rules out an artifact immediately. So then what is it? It's an unknown.
Tellingly, the frightened family who lived in this home moved out and never came back. And the man who shot this video not only believes he captured a ghost on tape, but that it also should be a textbook example for proof of the afterlife.
The researchers in this field have devoted the last 20 years of their life had never encountered anything like this before. It's very rare to see what they had termed as a black articulating mass. After it was analyzed, dissected, I guess what I concluded was that it was truly an important piece of video, that perhaps I was meant to have captured it for some reason or another, not knowing then why. Maybe in some small way with the mass interest that people have nowadays with ghosts. The Sixth Sense is a great example of the success of that movie. I think there's a curiosity that has sustained itself over the years when it comes to the supernatural, when it comes to the belief in ghosts. There are those who actually do believe but won't admit it. I think maybe in a small way, I'm hoping that maybe I've contributed in some aspect with the footage that I've managed to capture maybe I've offered a little more proof that maybe they do exist.
Academics in search of the truth about disembodied spirits have often taken their investigation to the places generally associated with ghosts, haunted houses. Alton, Illinois, July 1999. This stunning video is said to show a ghostly mist haunting a now abandoned home. The mist was recorded in the historic McPike Mansion. Experts say many McPike family members and their servants have died there. Is this mist evidence of them returning? College professor Renee Harath took this astonishing video while staking out the McPike Mansion.
It was well known as being a haunted site, and I came to investigate here and went through the entire house and ended up down here in the basement. And it was intensely cold. In fact, it was so cold that I began to shiver to the point where I could no longer continue videotaping.
Yet it was 95 degrees outside, and there wasn't a draft in the basement. There is no simple scientific explanation of what was caught on tape.
Oh, and you know what? I can see it changing directions. Just as I rounded the doorway, the mist just came at me, literally came at me.
The eerie mist seems to thicken and envelop everything in the room, including Renee and her camera.
It was like my body was being buffeted. I could feel it literally under my clothes.